What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so, I'm loving what the Trump administration is doing right now. This is like a dream come true. He's federalizing D.C. He was talking about federalizing other cities, which I don't think he can do that, but, you know, it is what it is. We shall see what's going on with this. It's cleaning up crime. He's doing his thing on immigration. He is trying to get this economy back, right? The early indicators, they're kind of all over the place, if you will. So we don't know exactly if this is going to work yet. Like, some of the early indicators were looking pretty good. Now, you know, it's not so good, but we'll have to see. Maybe the Fed will make a rate cut and we can get some explosion going on in this country, like explosion of growth, that is. We need that, but the Trump administration is taking massive actions, and we're loving every single minute of it around here for the most part, right? We have our qualms with the Trump administration, especially on Epstein. That whole situation, that's a very bad mark. You know, they had Signalgate, a couple of scandals already, but, you know, with all of the action that the Trump administration is doing, I still give it an A- at this point. Seriously, y'all, an A-. But let's get into this. The Trump administration's lawsuit against all of Maryland's federal judges meets skepticism in court. I imagine it would, because this is completely unprecedented. The Trump administration, the DOJ, is suing the entirety of the federal circuit that's in Maryland. Because, we'll get into that. It's fascinating, y'all. It really is. A judge on Wednesday questioned why it was necessary for the Trump administration to sue Maryland's entire federal bench over an order that paused the immediate deportation of migrants challenging their removals. So what this basically does, this is Maryland saying, hey, you know that statute in the Constitution that says expedited removals for anybody that's within the country within 2 years? It's in the country illegally within 2 years. Yeah, we don't think that's constitutional, even though that's been in the Constitution pretty much since its inception. Yeah, they said, no, you can't just expeditiously deport people. That is nuts. It really is. It's a nuts order. We'll get into it, though. U.S. District Judge Thomas Cullen didn't issue a ruling following a hearing in federal court in Baltimore, but he expressed skepticism about the administration's extraordinary legal maneuver, which attorneys for the Maryland judges called completely unprecedented. Cullen serves in the Western District of Virginia, but he was tapped to oversee the Baltimore case because of all of Maryland's 15 federal judges are named as defendants, a highly unusual circumstance that reflects the Republican administration's aggressive response to courts that slow or stop its policies. At issue in the lawsuit is an order signed by Chief Maryland District Judge George L. Russell III that prevents the administration from immediately deporting any immigrant seeking review of their detention in a Maryland federal court. Now, that's a lie. That is a blatant lie. Once again, leave it to the Associated Press to manipulate everything, because Donald Trump has not deported a single immigrant. 0 immigrants have been deported. All of them are either undocumented migrants or illegal migrants, whatever you want to call it. We'll say illegal migrants, which that, in case you don't know, in case you've been brainwashed by the corporate press, that is somebody who gets a visa or a green card or comes into the country legally and then lets that visa or whatever expire and then chooses to remain in the country. That's an illegal immigrant or a criminal alien, which that is the vast majority of what Donald Trump is deporting. Criminal aliens. Those are people that don't care about the visa process, the green card, none of that stuff. They just decide, oh, we're going to do an end run around that process, and we're just going to come into the country illegally, under the radar, and try to evade Border Patrol and evade local police. Or just try to live in the country. That's who Donald Trump is deporting. And that is who these judges said, no, you can't deport these people. These people that violate our trust, that violate our good nature, that violate our laws, come into the country illegally. These judges say, no, you can't get rid of them. That is insane. That is truly insane. This whole thing, this whole court flub with the immigrants, right? With all these judges saying, no, you can't deport this one. You can't deport these people. Oh, but there's a reason why you can't. It's all insane. None of it should be allowed. None of it should be allowed at all. The order blocks their removal until 4 p.m. on the second business day after their habeas corpus petition is filed. The Justice Department, which filed the lawsuit in June, says the automatic pause impedes President Donald Trump's authority to enforce immigration laws. Yeah, it does, because it stops him from deporting criminal aliens, for crying out loud. Like in that district, at least, right? Not over the whole country, because they can't do that anymore. But just in Maryland, which is nuts, y'all. It really is. But attorneys for the Maryland judges argue that the suit was intended to limit the power of the judiciary to review certain immigration proceedings while the administration pursues a mass deportation agenda. Yes, this is why we all voted for Donald Trump. The executive branch seeks to bring suit in the name of the United States against a co-equal branch of government, said Paul Clement, a prominent conservative lawyer who served as Republican President George W. Bush's Solicitor General. There really is no precursor for this suit. It's fascinating, because there's not. It's a crazy move from an administration who is really just frustrated at this point, because every single action that they take, if it was any other president, there would not be all these court cases. It's because it's Donald Trump, right? You did not have the entirety of the federal Maryland circuit saying, no, Obama, you can't deport criminal aliens expeditiously. You can't do that. It really is nuts. Nobody stopped Joe Biden from deporting criminal aliens, because he hardly deported any at all. I mean, sure, he took, as a matter of fact, most of his deportations were just people that they turned around at the border, which there wasn't that many, folks. But Obama, that was the vast majority of his 3.3 million deportations, was just turnarounds at the border. No, you can't come in. Blah, 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 blah. No federal circuit has ever been weaponized against the executive branch as this one has against this administration. It's truly extraordinary. So, once again, the executive branch is going to take extraordinary measures to counter those actions. It really is nuts, y'all. Clement listed several other avenues the administration could have taken to challenge the order, such as filing an appeal in an individual habeas case. Yeah, but that takes forever. It's funny. Yeah, he could have done this, but you know what? He did what he did. Like, I mean, we could sit here and throw up possibilities all day long, but do possibilities matter in the face of reality? No, they don't. Cullen also asked the government's lawyers whether they had considered that alternative, which he said could have been more expeditious than suing all the judges. He also questioned what would happen if the administration accelerated its current approach and sued a federal appellate bench or even the Supreme Court. I think you probably picked up on the fact that I have some skepticism, Cullen told Justice Department Attorney Elizabeth Hedges when she stood to present the Trump administration's case. Hedges denied that the case would open the floodgates to similar lawsuits. She said the government is simply seeking relief from a legal roadblock preventing effective immigration enforcement. The United States is a plaintiff here because the United States is being harmed, she said. Cullen, who was nominated to the federal bench by Trump in 2019, said he would issue a ruling by Labor Day on whether to dismiss the lawsuit. If allowed to proceed, he could also grant the government's request for a preliminary injunction that would block the Maryland federal bench from following the conditions of the chief judge's order. That would be a good move, by the way. Think about this, right? Like, these judges, they're like, oh, well, we're going to stop the administration from conducting constitutional duties. But then they get all pissy and bent out of shape when the executive branch stops them from doing their duties. That's fascinating, don't you think? A little bit of hypocrisy going on here. The automatic pause in deportation proceedings sought to maintain existing conditions and the potential jurisdiction of the court, ensure immigrant petitioners are able to participate in court proceedings and access attorneys, and give the government fulsome opportunity to brief and present arguments in its defense according to the order. Like, what defense could you possibly have for illegally entering a country? What defense in court could you have to say, I think I should stay here? You come across the border illegally. What defense is there for you to stay here? We're just talking about expedited removals. That's all we're talking about here. What defense could you possibly have? There aren't any, by the way. Russell also said the court had received an influx of habeas petitions after hours that resulted in hurried and frustrating hearings, in that obtaining clear and concrete information about the location and status of the petitioners is elusive. Habeas petitions allow people to challenge their detention by the government. Once again, the ridiculousness of all this. Think about that, folks. Somebody comes into the country illegally. They get detained by the government. The government has them detained. What do you mean, the elusiveness of these people? It's ridiculous, y'all. It really is. The administration accused Maryland judges of prioritizing a regular schedule, saying in court documents that a sense of frustration and a desire for greater convenience do not give defendants license to flout the laws. Among the judges named in the lawsuits is Paula Zenas, who found the administration illegally deported Kilmar Abrego Garcia to El Salvador in March, a case that quickly became a flashpoint in Trump's immigration crackdown. Yeah, but you know what? Hang on there, Associated Press. What did the Supreme Court find? Yeah, they overturned that, as a matter of fact. Then, yeah, that wasn't an illegal deportation. Just because you're deranged with Donald Trump doesn't mean that what you say goes. Abrego Garcia was held in a notorious Salvadorian mega prison where he claims to have been beaten and tortured. Who cares if an MS-13 gang member, wife beater, gets tortured? I mean, I don't. Sorry. The administration later brought Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. and charged him with human smuggling in Tennessee. His attorneys characterized the charge as an attempt to justify his erroneous deportation. What erroneous deportation? Like, once again, these people are just deranged with reality, as a matter of fact, because he had his final orders of deportation. That's it. Case closed. I don't care if he wasn't supposed to go to El Salvador. Once again, the whole reason for him not to go to El Salvador was deleted from existence. So therefore, deleting the reason that there was a stay on his deportation. He still had those final orders, though. That means he could be deported to third countries. Zenas recently prohibited the administration from taking Abrego Garcia into immediate immigration custody if he's released from jail pending trial. Like, get this, right? So the government, I don't know if you've been following this story or not, but like I always say, the Abrego case is not going away anytime soon. At least I don't think it is. It looks like it's rolling toward its end, but it's not. But get this. All right, so the government deports this guy, and then there's this large uproar about, oh, but this was a mistaken deportation, although it wasn't, right? They didn't give him an interview. There was an administrative error in conducting that deportation, but the deportation was only up and up. So there's this big uproar. Oh, there's a mistaken deportation. They're yelling and screaming, gnashing their teeth about bringing this guy back. So the Trump administration's like, okay, you want him back? Bring him back. They charge him with human smuggling. Then, okay, get this. So he's an he's alleged MS-13 gang member. There's documented records of him beating on his wife several times, right? He was arrested with known MS-13 gang members. He was wearing MS-13 affiliate clothing when he was arrested. There's video evidence of him smuggling humans across the country. Criminal aliens, as a matter of fact. There's all this evidence. This judge, they bring this guy back from the mega prison in El Salvador so he could go to trial. This judge wanted to let this dude go free. Release him on bond. Are you freaking kidding me? I've never seen a more flight risk in my entire life than this guy. And she said release him on bond. That is nuts. That's how deranged these lunatics are. That is exactly how deranged they are. Blows my freaking mind, y'all. But this is great. I love what the Trump administration is doing. Escalate. Just do it. Because at this point, you know, you could make the argument that, oh, well, when Democrats take the White House back, they're going to do the same thing. They've already done it, y'all. They've already escalated to a point to where we're just getting browbeat constantly. So what are we going to do? Let's escalate. You want to play these stupid games? You're going to win some stupid prizes. That's all I got to say about that. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one, y'all. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this, by the way. Because this is all fascinating. I love the Trump administration is doing this. Sue all of them. You cannot. You know, the Constitution is not a tap that can be opened and closed. Sorry. It is a hard document that we must adhere to, lest we lose this country. These people, they don't care about expedited removals. They would love for that part of the Constitution to be burned away, just destroyed. They would love that. That's what it sounds like. So sue all of them. Screw it. That's what I say, at least. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all remember, y'all, God is always with each and every one of us. And he loves all of you guys. Loves everybody. Even if you don't believe in him, he believes in you. I promise you that. But y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.